I want you to share with me your story, about your health journey, about how you found yoga and just the whole pathway to, everything that you're so passionate about.
It was my senior game, senior season. It was homecoming night. And I always tell people I had a catalyzing knee injury. It was like the third quarter, and I came off the field. I pulled off my helmet, and I'm getting a drink of water, and someone's like, hey, we're missing a cornerback on the field. And I was like, well, I'll just jump in. I played like a similar position, not cornerback. Anyways, I throw my helmet on, I run onto the field, and it ended up being like a sweep to my side, and I go up for the tackle, and one of my teammates comes across me, and I end up tearing my ACL, MCL, and meniscus. I heard this like pop, pop, pop. And there's photos of my helmet touching my ankle. Like I was like bent over to the side. Like I was a pretzel. And in that moment, it is what it is. In that moment, I was just screaming bloody murder. And I knew that I was done. I go to the doctor like 2 days later. Orthopedic surgeon was there. I had known him at the time. And he's like, come into my office tomorrow. We got to see this. And so he looked at it. He did surgery like 2 days later, which is very unheard of for an ACL, MCL, meniscus tear. Usually they wait like a couple weeks, but they did it right away. And the doctor's like, look, it looks good, but your dream of playing baseball is highly unlikely. You're probably going to take like 6 to 8 months before you end up recovering and going back into playing sports. That was the first time in my life where I couldn't move. So I went through states of depression. I went through states of low worth. I lost all of my confidence because at the time, much of my confidence came in the form of playing sports. And fortunately, my mother, she gifted me one of the best things of my life. And I didn't know at the time, but it ended up being the best thing of my life. It was a 20-minute, there's a five video, 20-minute each DVD of yoga sequences, yoga series, yoga practices. And she's like, I think this will help. You need something to like reconnect back with yourself. And so I did as much yoga as I could. I'm basically on one leg, but there's still certain things that I could do to get myself back into my body. I began doing these yoga practices. I had never heard of yoga before in my life. It changed my life. It was the first time where I really began to like connect with my breath, connect with my body and my balance. I was always an athletic kid, but it was the first time where I really noticed the imbalances of my life. But most importantly, what it taught me was the power of the mind. And if you can like hold yourself through a position a little bit longer, with that intention in mind, with the breath, you can do so much more in your life. It was only about 3.5 months where I ended up going from like completely immovable to playing my first game in my senior season of baseball. I made a full recovery in 3.5 months when the doctor was telling me like 6 to 8 months. And I
from basically yoga and just
pretty much yoga. I mean, yeah, I had an incredible physical therapist and an incredible athletic trainer, but I really deep down feel that much of it came to do with yoga.
Right.
And so, I went on to play my senior season of baseball, and most importantly, I went on to play college baseball, and I was able to like fulfill my dreams of going on and living, something that I had set out to do.
So I acknowledge you, first of all, for just saying, fuck that, basically. And, I'm going to figure this out. I acknowledge your mom for giving you that video. Was it like a DVD or a VHS?
It was a DVD at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
And those things were still like popular. But what's really funny about all of this is, again, I really tapped into the power of the mind with yoga to overcome certain things. But when I look back on what happened, I didn't want to play football because I feared being injured for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed me how powerful the mind is. Even if we think of something, oh, I don't want to do that because it could potentially lead to this, it oftentimes happens. And we manifest with the words that we use. The words that we use cast spells into our life. And so it showed me that even though I created this event, I could recreate a new event in my life. And that's what I did. And so I went on to play college baseball, had a really successful tenure. More importantly, I wanted to study like how I was able to do this. Like, what was it that allowed me to go from this state of pain and injured and, basically not able to do anything to a state of optimal living. And so I studied exercise science and sports psychology, went through the whole education, the gamut of college, studied underneath a professional sports psychologist, and interned with him. He worked with many other professional athletes. And then after that, I decided to study holistic lifestyle practices, because in college, I was basically taught a bunch of garbage. I was still having like reoccurring injuries happening. And I really found out that it had a lot to do with my diet, because I would have like a distended abdomen. I was having gut inflammation, poor stools. And so that moved me in a way of like really evaluating the food that I was putting into my diet. Quickly, I learned that most of our food is pretty toxic. In order to live a life where your body's repairing itself and it's healing itself, we need to de-stress the body. We need to let go of the stress. We need to let go of the chemical stress, the physical stress, the mental stress, the financial stress, the electromagnetic stress. All of this stress summates onto the body. It just like piles on top of us. And then there's good stress, of course, but like most of us are dealing with a lot of bad stress, and this cortisol is spiking, or this stress is spiking cortisol in the body, and cortisol puts us into a fight or flight state. It puts us into a state of releasing a lot of adrenaline and pulling out resources that we only need for like an emergency situation. And so if we're perpetually stressed in our life, then it's going to pull the energy from our organs. It's going to pull that life force outside of us. And so one way that we can de-stress the body is by fueling our cells with high quality nutrition. Feeding our body with whole foods, with raw foods, with organic foods, with minerals, vitamins, nutrients that the body needs. When the body is fed, right? When the body's fed on a cellular level, it allows all the toxicity within us to just dissipate. Because inside of us, in our lymph system, which is like our recycling center, right? This is what moves all this blood. It's what allows us to stimulate immunity within ourselves. Mm-hmm. Our lymph system can hold up to like 15 to 20 pounds of shit. And if we're not moving that out of the body with healthy food, with movement, with clean water, then it just adds up and it causes more and more stress within our body.
I know you like to take cold showers and hop in some very cold rivers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so just as we need to de-stress the body, we also need to give ourselves healthy stress, right? Stress is what allows us to grow. It's what allows us to expand. One of these forms of good stress is, exercise, like a healthy amount of exercise. And also it's getting comfortable being uncomfortable, putting yourself in challenging situations that push us out of our little cushy, comfy life and allows us to expand. And one of the ways that I love to do that is with cold water therapy, ice baths, walking barefoot and connecting with the land. We're in shoes all day. We're, in heat all day. Or we're driving in a car. It's hot outside. We're in the air conditioning. So we're always like in our comfort zone. And so if we can challenge ourselves by putting ourselves into uncomfortable situations like an ice bath, like a cold shower, it not only has incredible physiological benefits on the body, like stimulating brown fat, which allows us to burn the unhealthy adipose fat, which is what makes us soft, but it also allows us to move the lymph. It allows us to move the blood. For me, most importantly, it's a challenge in the mind, and it puts us into a state of, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to find myself relaxing in the situation, finding myself in peace in the moment. Because I believe everything that we fear, it holds the treasure of our life. It holds like the golden nugget of who we can become. And so when you are afraid to do something, do it, because you're going to learn that, oh, it's not that bad. And I can actually thrive in this situation. When the breath and the heart are in coherence, it means that we're in the flow state. It means we're in that state of peace, of samadhi, of complete focus. When you're an athlete and or you're a dancer and you're just like moving, you don't even know how you're moving. There's like an out of body experience. That's the flow state. It's a tool to train you to get into that flow state, to access that flow state on will. The science behind it is when you inhale, your heart rate should increase as well. And when you exhale, your heart rate should decrease. But most people have either a shortness of breath, they're stressed out from their life, we have poor breathing mechanics, or we have poor heart rate circulation. And so we can train these to come back together into coherence with this device. But what I learned was you could do it simply with measuring your heart rate and breathing in and breathing out. So for those of you who are like watching this right now, you could simply find your heart rate and find the beat.
Mm-hmm.
So you can feel the beat. Now take in a breath for like 4 of those beats, slowly, just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. And just start doing that for a few more breaths. And what you might notice is that when you inhale, your heart rate begins to speed up. And when you exhale, it begins to slow back down.
Okay. That's good to know.
And
work on that, because sometimes I'm like in the kitchen and I'm like, I feel the anxiety, and sometimes I just need to sit down and focus on my breathing.
Yeah, and when you do that, when you bring more awareness to it, it really brings you back into the present, into the moment, and you let go of the stress, the anxiety, the fear, the doubt, the worry, all of that stuff, and you come back to the moment of love, which is what the purpose of life is to be present in everything that we're doing. Yeah, it's a really powerful tool, and you can simply do this with easy, like just a simple meditation, just following your breath. I quickly learned that emotions are potentially some of the root causes of our pain, of our injury, of our depression and anxiety, of everything that happens in our life. I mean, of course, there is like physical pain, but after you've recovered, people will have an extensive amount of pain for 10 to 20 years. And it's, even though the body is done its healing on the physical level, on the emotional level, there's still a root trauma in it. And so what we can do is we can work through that emotion and figure out what's coming up. How did that make you feel when you had a certain injury? Or how did it make you feel when you got injured or before you got injured?
Yeah, and the first memory of it, right? Like the very first time you felt that.
So for me, when I tore my ACL, MCL, meniscus, I immediately felt a sense of guilt, of almost anger, and I had lost my confidence because my confidence came in the form of sport, right? And so after that, even though I had healed on the physical level and I was able to play, it was very challenging for me, to, these emotions still come up because I'm still working through it, but it was challenging for me to really be confident in other realms of life. This came back from, this injury, this experience. It like has stripped my confidence away. And so, I had held guilt and animosity towards the person who, wasn't on the field. But what I realized is I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for putting myself in that situation. I went through this very healing experience where I just like broke down in tears. I reestablished the confidence within myself. I gave love to myself. And from that point on, I was a completely different human being. I started showing up in the world with more confidence in my life because I forgave myself for what happened. And, this is something that we can do. Oftentimes we are the creator of our reality, and everything that we've done completely serves us, as long as you see it that way, as long as you perceive it that way. But, if there's something in your life where that was like a very traumatic experience, go back and forgive yourself. Go back and love yourself.
We, first of all, don't know that that kind of stuff is going to happen. So just forgiving yourself and giving yourself love and hugging yourself, giving yourself that big hug is so special.
Yeah, I mean, emotions, they can run our life. And, I think they're a beautiful thing to tap into. We can also, think of a future scenario of our life and move from that place. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this all the time. Imagining your best future. And what is that going to feel like when you step into that place? But feeling it in the now, feeling it in the present, and then leading your life with that present feeling. Because here's the thing, the body doesn't know the difference between a waking state and a dream state. And what I mean by that is when you're dreaming, you feel the trauma of the dream. You feel the excitement of the dream, and you wake up either feeling really refreshed, or you might wake up feeling stressed out from your dream, right? And we can do this in our own life. We can do this in our present reality. We can make up a scenario in our life, in our mind, that immediately puts us in a state of stress. It puts us in anxiety because we fear it, right? We can do the exact opposite where we say, no, today's going to be the best day ever. This life is amazing. I choose joy. I choose love. I choose peace. I choose gratitude. And with that state, now we can shift our reality and move from that state of joy, move from that state of peace, move from that state of worthiness and confidence. Emotions can move our life, but at the same time, going on the flip side, many of our lives many of our emotions have been hijacked by cultural conditioning, by the television, by the news, music, like telling you what to think, what to emote. All of the stuff on the news is telling you to fear, is telling you to be upset about this person, be upset about that, worry about this, worry about that. And so our minds are being hijacked, and we're now overly emotional and showing up in life confused. So we have to find this balance of logic and emotion. Really sit back and think, okay, is this my emotion, or is this somebody else's emotion projected upon me? And so
turning off your phone, turning off the TV, being in your car and not even listening to music. That's where I'm at right now. I cannot tell you how many times I turn on 105.9, which is the hip hop station, and Kiss FM, and I picture myself at the club, shaking my booty, wearing a sexy dress. I have to stop myself, because of course that's what they want us to do, is they want us to be at the clubs and buying drinks and being with your friends and whoever, lover. And so I have to recharge from that. I think we all should, and go jump in the ocean, go jump in an ice bath and really meditate, and know that okay, that's fun, but now I have to recharge. So knowing that you have to recharge and kind of tune out of that is very vital.
Yeah. And the ways that we can recharge are, being in nature. Really tapping into the earth. Nature has everything that we need in those ice baths, and walking in the grass barefoot, soaking up the sun, playing, dancing, singing, laughing.
Body movement. Yes. I know you're big on that too.
Yeah. I mean, these are the ways that we can recharge. And of course, eating healthy, put good food in your body. These are the simple things of life. We don't need to complicate it. It's really quite simple to be healthy. But people want the quick fix. They want the cure-all. Well, the cure-all is within. The cure-all is all around you. It's nature. It's your heart. It's your breath. It's your own presence of mind and peace.
I know you're big on like just manifesting and really feeling something, you know, even if it's not here, or if it's here, rubbing, you know, money all over yourself, all of the above. So what are you, you know, tapping into this year? We're still basically in the new year, where our, you know, we're almost into our 4th month, and I like to always do a checkup, you know, like after the 2nd month or 5th month, like, okay, now we're like, you know, going into the middle of the year. So what are you you know, tapping into? How has this year been for you so far? I know for me it's been magical. I've met so many amazing friends. We opened up a studio in Santa Monica called the Divine Mind, where, you know, we practice meditation. I just led my first guided meditation. You were there. And I'm tapping into Reiki this year, and we do things like cacao ceremonies at the studio, and, you know, soul gazing. So all of that came to me this year. I'm so grateful. I'm so, so grateful. To me, this year has been just tapping into all these new things. You know, I want to start vending and having tables, like wellness tables and stuff. So what have you been doing so far this year? What are you manifesting? What are you calling? What are you bringing in? Where do you see yourself in like the next year?
Yeah. Well, first off, yeah, your event that you had a few weeks ago or a month ago was incredible. For your first meditation, I was completely blown away. Like, you got some serious power, and that was really amazing. So thank you for inviting me to that.
Thank you.
I am calling in a beautiful reality every single day. Like, that's just to be in peace, to be in abundance.
And it's here now, right?
Exactly.
It's here
You know,
now.
every day I wake up and I say, today's the best day ever. Today is the best day ever. And I've already, I've done a lot already this year. Last year was an incredible year for myself. I did more traveling than I ever had. I was all over the place, living in a van and finding myself in a nomadic lifestyle that I really loved and adored. And this year I've basically been in California for most of the year so far. And I'm loving it here. I'm loving it here. I think I'm going to stay a little bit longer, find a place to ground myself. Since I've been all over the place for a while, I'm calling in a sense of groundedness to expand my business, to expand my life even further. I was in a state of expansion last year, like finding myself all over the place, you know, expanding my roots as I want to expand now a business and of service to other people. I realized that I need to contract. I need to come back within myself and slow down a little bit so I can spread now my tree, you know, spread my reach, my branches, because the roots are
Slow
down.
down is so important. I like cut my finger today, and I thought I was gonna bleed a lot. It was like the worst. It was kind of like a paper cut, but it was like a thread cut. It was like this
Ooh.
long thread that was hanging off my towel, and I was like, right, to like rip it off, and it went right through me. And I was like, I'm gonna bleed so much right now. I'm gonna film it, like it's gonna be great, because like I'm one to always cut my fingers and bleed a lot. But I didn't bleed at all. That was really weird. But yeah, that was just, you know, I love energy wounds, energy cuts. It just reminds us that we need to slow down.
Yeah, I mean, for example, my toe, I dropped a kettlebell on it, and that was a big. I was trying to be slick and do more things at once than I could handle. Guys are not very good at multitasking, and I learned, you know, a great lesson. Just be present. That also taught me just to slow down, to take it slow.
Healing is so beautiful, right? You're healing so well. Instantly, our body wants to heal. The second we cut ourselves, you know, the second we get hurt, our body's trying to heal. It's a beautiful thing. So I thank God I didn't break anything, and I'm happy that you're healing so well. And it's a story to tell, you know, you're inspiring people, and you're like, you know, I'm healthy, I heal quick, like, what's up?
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, when you're healthy, you release stem cells a lot more efficiently. If you get injured, your body's going to release the healing properties, the stem cells, to build itself back up. But if you're constantly stressed, right? If you have too much stress, if you don't have the right nutrition, when you get injured, now your body's going to all the other sites to heal itself. And so it doesn't necessarily go to that site of pain, of injury. And so that's why it's so important to keep your body clean. So if you do get injured in the wild, your body knows exactly where to send that healing, those healing mechanisms. And so, yeah, I mean, everything comes down to health. We also absorb, you know, the sunlight and the air. So if you're inside all the time, you're just going to absorb stagnant air. So it's important to get outside and breathe in fresh air.
Yeah.
You're going to absorb the people that you're around. So who are the people that you surround yourself with? Are they high quality individuals? Are they people that inspire you? Are they people that support you? You're going to absorb, you know, their qualities. You're going to absorb the water that you put on your body and that you drink. You know, what's the quality of the water that you're around? Are you constantly washing yourself in tap water that's really dirty? Or are you filtering it? Do you have a filtration system? Do you wash yourself in nature? I mean, that's a lot of what I've been doing for the last year and a half, is finding myself in nature. And I've noticed that I become a cleaner person because of that. Because like you said, we are what we absorb.
Thank you. As you drink your Shasta water and as I drink my Kangen water.
Hydrate yourselves, man. It's important.
I appreciate you for hopping on my live, for taking the time to share what you've been through and what you've learned, what you know. We all look up to you. You know, a lot of people in the HJL team, your friends, your family, your followers. So it was an honor having you on. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for having me on. It's always a joy to connect with you. You are a beautiful soul, and you are also a leader and a thought wizard, a warrioress, a goddess, and I'm thankful for you. And so, yeah, thanks for having me.
We're all wearing that crown. All of us. We're all. Thank you. I take that in. We're all leaders. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah, it's just all about, you know, tapping into that every day and having that support. And, you know, that's why I'm so passionate in this and talking to people and starting the podcast and all of the above, no below, just all of the above.
As above, so below. As within, so without. So it's, again, you are the creator of your reality. What comes up here goes down here. What starts in here goes out there. So change your mind, shift your perspective, and see the world in a new way, because it's a beautiful place, and it's our responsibility to drink it up and enjoy the most of it.
We are the creators. I always tell people, what do I say? You know, how are you treating life? I think a lot of people are like, how's life treating you?
Like that.
You know, how are you treating life?
How are you treating life? I like that.
How are you treating
I'm going to start saying that.
Yeah. But okay. Well, so much love.
All right.
Love all of you guys. Thank you for staying on. And until next time.
Thanks, Christine.
Bye.
Bye.